Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you a recipe that, ooh, that's a piece of foil in my pan. This sausage was previously frozen, that's why there's a little bit of foil around it. Anyway, I am showing you all, and I hope you can hear me okay over the sound of this sizzling sausage. I'm going to show you one of my husband's go-to recipes when he had the spoons to cook. This is, I don't know, I think he invented this before we even met. I'm not entirely sure. But you know, at least 15 years ago, he kind of invented this little simple recipe that he would throw together whenever he had the spoons to actually cook something, because it's very easy. Anyway, I'm just breaking up some Italian sausage. This is about 1.5 pounds. And I did not add any oil to the pan because sausage is fatty and it probably does not need any oil. And this is actually homemade Italian sausage. You do not have to be that extra and make your own Italian sausage. You can definitely just buy a pack. Yeah, usually Italian sausage in my country comes in packs of, I think, around 1 pound to 2 pounds. Anyway, get a pack of it. If it comes in its casings, squeeze it out of the casings. But sometimes you can buy it not in casings. Anyway, break it apart like this, and we just want to let this render and cook and brown for a while. While that is doing that, I will show you the rest of what I'm doing. So I've already chopped the equivalent of half of a very large onion. It's 2 different colors because I happen to have some red onion already open in my fridge, and I just wanted to use up the rest of that. Use whatever onion you like. And then I have a bunch of cremini mushrooms. We both love mushrooms. If you don't like mushrooms, I guess this recipe just isn't really for you. You could absolutely leave them out and like add some other vegetable if you wanted, but it just wouldn't be the same recipe. Anyway, I'm just cutting the creminis. I'm trying to do this at an angle where my hand is not obscuring what I'm doing. I always notice, like, I'll record a video of me cooking, and then after the fact I will notice that like I'm cutting it at an angle like this so you can't even see what I'm doing, and I get really annoyed when that happens. Okay, can we see what I'm doing? Yeah, we can. Okay, so what I mean, you don't even have to be perfect about it. I just like slice it one way and then slice it another way, and yeah. We're gonna cook these mushrooms down so that a lot of the water comes out of them and they lose a lot of their volume anyway. So, you don't have to be precise. You can also buy the pre-sliced cremini or button mushrooms sometimes at the grocery store in those packages if you want to save yourself a little time. So anyway, I think he first made this dish for me when we first started seeing each other. I think he had me over and he cooked this for me, and I really liked it. At the time, it was very tasty, but also just incredibly rich, not very balanced. Because the original recipe was Italian sausage, onions, mushrooms, garlic, which we'll cut up in a minute, and Parmesan cheese, and tortellini, and that's it. So just a bunch of very rich ingredients. The Italian sausage was spicy, so at least the heat from that balanced it out a little bit, but yeah, I found it tasty but very rich. So over the years, we've both experimented together to try to improve upon the recipe, to just give it a little more balance, a little something else that it was kind of missing. Because he also agreed that while tasty, it was kind of missing something. So we tried quite a few things. We tried black olives. It was tasty, but didn't quite do the trick. We tried white wine. I liked that, but he didn't. He doesn't tend to like acidic food as much as I do. We tried fresh cherry tomatoes. We tried fresh spinach. And like all of those things were tasty, but didn't quite do it for both of us. Eventually, we landed on this, sun-dried tomatoes. This was just the magic ingredient that we were missing. And once we added that, it all kind of came together. So our mushrooms are all chopped up. I don't know how many that is. It looks like probably about 3 cups of chopped mushrooms. They're gonna cook down to nothing. Oh, also on standby, I have made myself a side salad so that this meal will be healthier. Simple life hack. What you cook doesn't always have to be healthy as long as you eat something healthy on the side. Okay, so as you can see, the sausage is starting to render a little bit. The impetus behind making this recipe was, in fact, that I had made extra Italian sausage the last time I made Italian sausage, so I froze the excess, and we are moving in a couple months, and I want to eat up like as much food as possible before we move, just so I don't have to move food, especially if it's frozen food or something that could go bad during the move. So I decided, hey, let's make this. It's been a while since we made this, and I can't believe that I haven't made a video of it yet, because it's, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily call it a staple in our repertoire, because we don't make it super often, but like, we make it often enough that I'm kind of surprised I didn't make a video about it yet. Okay, while that is continuing to cook down, I'm gonna chop the garlic. Like a lot of recipes that my husband and or myself develop, this does not have a recipe. You know, I think I might have written down an approximated recipe and shared it with my patrons over on Patreon. I might have done that at some point. But yeah, you just go off vibes with this recipe. You're just cooking and you're like, I love garlic. I feel particularly enamored with garlic today, so I'm gonna add a whole head of it. You know, you just kind of do what you want to do. But anyway, yeah, we both love garlic, so I am putting in, I guess, 5 or so cloves of garlic. And this garlic is pretty old, so the peels come off pretty easily. I'm blocking what I'm doing again. And you know, this doesn't have to be perfectly pulverized or chopped perfectly. This is what you'd call a rustic dish. And you know, I work at home and I'm a freelance employee, so the concept of like weeknights and weekends and stuff, it's not really the same to me as it is to most 9-to-5 workers. But this is definitely what you would call like a weeknight dinner. It's something that you can throw together in less than a half an hour. It doesn't take that much effort, especially if you have a partner helping you. Okay, so that's all prepped. Notice how I prepped this while this is frying off. This is a very nice way to save time in the kitchen. If you know that it's going to take, like, you know, a good 5 to 10 minutes for your meat to, you know, cook, you might as well use that time to prep your vegetables instead of prepping everything before you start cooking and then standing around and staring at your meat as it cooks. I know a lot of cooking shows like to show, you know, everybody prepping everything in advance and laying it all out tidily on the counter in a bunch of ramekins, so I just think it's important to note that most home cooks ain't got time for that. And they don't feel like washing all those ramekins afterwards either. Okay, this is mostly cooked and it will continue to cook more. Now you could totally remove the sausage, but that would be another plate to clean. So I am just going to dump all of my onions and mushrooms directly into the skillet with my sausage. But Sarah, what about all the fat in there? Keep it, fat is delicious. A little salt. The sausage already has salt in it, and the tortellini has salt in it, and we're gonna add some cheese at the end, which also has salt in it. So go a little easy on the salt, but still definitely add salt. And I'm in fact going to cover it to facilitate. That sounded really sad, just to draw out the moisture from the vegetables. Okay, it's been like 3 minutes or so. I'm just gonna show you the progress and give it a little stir. What we're looking for is for the mushrooms to shrink dramatically, which they're already doing, and for the onions to become translucent. Now, you have probably heard this language used in recipes a lot. What do I mean by translucent? Well, if you look at this piece of onion, light is not shining through it. You can't really, it's not even slightly see-through. So you have to wait until it gets more see-through. Like when you have it on the wooden spoon, you can totally see through. Pieces of the onion are getting translucent already because they have been in direct contact with the pan. As you can see, it's already lost a lot of liquid. It's already reducing down quite a bit. My stove seems to be weak today. I love cheap apartment stoves. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. And meanwhile, I have a pot of salted water coming up to the boil. These 3 cheese tortellinis, the package says it'll take about 5 to 7 minutes to cook. Yeah, 5 minutes or longer. We're gonna finish cooking these with the saute of sausage, etc. So timing. When in doubt, you can always just like bring the pot of water to the boil, and if it's too early, just let it keep boiling. Or you can top it off with more cold water if it starts getting too empty. But yeah, you can just like have the pot of water boiling at the ready and then just not add your pasta until you're ready to add it. Basically don't want to add the tortellini until this mixture is ready. All right, since it has reduced quite a bit and the onions are starting to get translucent and there is a lot of stuff in this skillet, I don't think there's any danger of burning. I'm going to add the garlic. And if you have it, we happen to have it, and again, I'm trying to use up everything before we move, Calabrian chilies. If you don't have Calabrian chilies, add red pepper flake. It's a lot cheaper anyway. Calabrian chilies can be kind of expensive. They're so tasty though. I think I actually have some Calabrian chili in this sausage. That sounds like something I would do, but I don't remember because I made it several months ago. Oh, and it smells so good. Okay, at this point I'm going to add some black pepper. I ground this yesterday, so it's still very fragrant and good. My husband just loves black pepper. I have really become quite fond of it over the years with him as well. So I make sure to add a lot. You could add, Italian seasoning or any other seasonings that you want. I mean, the sausage already has a lot of seasoning in it, so it's not as important. This dish is also good garnished with some fresh basil, I don't happen to have any, and it's expensive anyway, but I will probably garnish it with some fresh parsley afterwards if I remember. Also, while the camera was off, I grated some pecorino. This is actually my favorite hard cheese, but it's kind of hard to find in my country. You have to go to a bougie grocery store to get it. But Parmesan works as well if you can't find pecorino, but this happens to be my favorite, so I'm using pecorino. Okay, I'm gonna add the sun-dried tomatoes because I'm bored. I don't really know that there's any optimal time to add these. I just kind of instinctively don't want to add them too soon because they might mushify too much. And I just dumped in everything that was left in the bag, again, because we're getting rid of things. I don't know, it's probably like a half a cup of sun-dried tomatoes. Honestly, it probably could have used a little more, but it is what it is. Also, just want to iterate, this technique, what I'm doing here, sauteing some, small dice meat that's flavorful, preferably with some onions, garlic, and vegetables of your choice, and then serving it with a cheesy tortellini and a side salad. I mean, you can customize that however you want. I mean, you could use chorizo, you could use bacon, you could use just ground beef or ground turkey, and then maybe add some extra spices. If you're a weird person who doesn't like onions, or if you can't eat onions for some reason, I mean, you can get creative. You could use peppers, you could use celery, any other wet vegetable that tends to cook down, zucchini. Mix it with some tortellini and pasta water, and you have yourself a really satisfying and pretty easy to put together meal. And honestly, before I met my husband, this was just not the sort of product that I was ever inclined to buy at the grocery store. I don't know why. I don't think I mean, maybe I had an aversion to it. Maybe I thought that it would be not tasty or something. It's tasty. I think it is. But yeah, stuff like store-bought tortellini and ravioli open up a lot of possibilities for really tasty but easy home cooking. All right, this is looking really nice. It's glossy, it's saucy. The onions have broken down quite a bit. The mushrooms have broken down quite a bit. It looks kind of like a loose, undercooked meat sauce, which that's what it is. It's kind of like a ragu. Definitely, if you're not going to eat like a bright side salad with this, I would recommend putting like a splash of red wine vinegar in here just to balance it out, bring a little acidity to the dish. But again, I'm making this kind of with my husband's tastes in mind, and I'm just going to remedy that by having a bright side salad. I'm going to give him the side salad too, to be healthy, but yeah, personally, if I were making this dish just for me, I think I would add like a splash of red wine vinegar here as well. Okay, this is actually ready for the tortellini. I did not quite time my water correctly, but it's okay. If this is ready early, you can just turn it down and let it hang out. You could turn the burner off if it's ready super early and let it hang out until your pasta's ready. I'm gonna try to open this package the way I'm meant to open it. I always have a hard time opening packages the way I'm supposed to open them. It just never works out, So I'm gonna use a knife. And one hand. Oh, this is so precarious. Water is not quite boiling yet, but I am impatient and hungry. And it's okay, you know, you don't have to have super boiling water when you cook pasta. You also don't have to add as much water to the pot as the directions say you have to. It just makes it take longer to come to the boil. And I just have this spider on standby because this is what I'm going to use to retrieve the tortellini when I'm done. Ooh, another thing I'm going to get out. I'm going to have this measuring cup at the ready to scoop pasta water out. Otherwise, I might forget and just dump it down the sink and then be sad because I need pasta water. Anyway, this needs about 5 minutes. This is looking lovely and luscious and saucy. This whole dish, by the way, serves 4, and it tastes good leftover. So it is a great dish to make on a day when you have the spoons to cook.
Yvain! Come here, sweetheart. Oh, hi, Nika.
My tortellini got dangerously close to boiling over while I was playing with the kittens. I saved it in the nick of time, and they're almost done. Okay, I just tasted one for doneness and burned my tongue, but they are done. So it's time to scoop them into the sauce. And it's totally okay if water comes along with these tortellini when you scoop them into the sauce. We actually want that. And if you have a bigger skillet than the one I'm using right here, by all means, use a bigger skillet. This does get a little bit crowded. And be gentle when you toss this, of course. Don't want to break open the tortellinis any more than what is inevitable. You usually sacrifice 1 or 2. And at this point, it's just about done. Basically, all you do at this point is check for consistency. I mean, this is another thing that kind of evolved over the years as my husband and I became better cooks. He would just serve it like this, but it is a little nicer if you lubricate it with a little more pasta water. It just helps bring everything together and emulsify it. And it can get a little bit dry if you don't add the pasta water. The tortellini is thirsty, it'll drink it up. And then taste it for seasoning and burn your tongue again. Trying to get some of everything here. Keeping in mind that I'm going to add some salty cheese to it, I still am going to add a little salt. Give it another stir. And by now, because it's been sitting, give it some more pasta water. Yeah, man, learning how to emulsify sauces with pasta water is really a game changer with pasta. Before I learned how to do that, anytime I made any pasta dish like this, it was just kind of dry and claggy. I don't know if that's the right word. Kind of clumped up together in a dry way. And like it would still taste good, but it didn't have that luxurious like smoothness to it. Unless I made like an actual sauce with cream or tomatoes or something in it. Yeah, we are looking good. I'm gonna plate this. And let's be chefy and drizzle a little olive oil over the top. And there it is. It is very hearty and tasty and rather easy to make. I'd say, you know, if you're one of those people who like doesn't cook or rarely cooks, this will probably be on the difficult side for you. But if you want something a little easier to cook on weeknights, this is a great dish and I hope you try it. There's pecorino on my finger.